الأشياء التي تظهر من المقادير الملائكة هي ظاهرة لله تعالى قدرها، لكن الملائكة يخبرون يكتب أجله ورزقه وكذا، هذا بالنسبة للملك جديد، أما بالنسبة لله تعالى فقد قدره تقديرا.
So he created creation with his knowledge. He appointed destinies for those who he created, and he allotted to them fixed lifespans. So people sometimes they hear the hadith that once a person reaches the age of 4 months in the womb, then that person, Allah sends an angel that breathes their soul, and their wills are written, like where they will die, whether this person will go to Jannah or hellfire.
هذا شديد على الملك، هذا شديد على الملائكة.
These things that are written are new for the angel that is writing them, but these things are already predestined with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's knowledge previously before that.
ولم يخفى عليه شيء من أفعالهم سبحانه جل جلاله، لا يخفى عليه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء.
Nothing about them was hidden from him before he created them.
لم يخفى عليه شيء من أفعالهم قبل خلقهم، قبل أن يخلقهم، ما خفي عليه شيء مما فعلوا ما يفعلون الآن قبل خلقهم.
Nothing was hidden from him, meaning that about them, meaning all the actions, exactly who this person is, all the different possibilities for this person, how they would react to every single possibility and every single action of this person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already knew before.
وعلم ما هم عاملون قبل أن يخلقهم.
And he
تفسير هذا إيضاح فقط، قاعدة المتقدمين أنهم يوضحونك.
And he knew everything that they would do before he created them. So here he's just clarifying the earlier sentence. Nothing was about them was hidden from him before he created them.
لكن لابد هذه السطور الآتية لابد أن تحضروا أذهانكم لها حتى تفهموا، حتى لا تضلوا وتضلوا. هذان السطران الآتيان لابد أن تركزوا أذهانكم.
So that for the two next lines, you need to really focus and pay attention. You need to really prepare your minds to comprehend these next two lines.
كثير من المسلمين الآن يقول لماذا الله تعالى قدر الأشياء وبعد ذلك يسألونه. هذه مصيبة الآن، هذه مصيبة. نحن الآن عندنا جبرية، وعندنا يعني خيارية، وعندنا مثلا معتزلية، وعندنا قدرية، وعندنا أنواع من الفساد لم تكن من قبل حتى لا يفهمها الحاضر. لا، أنا لا أظن من يفهم، أنا أحتاج من يفهمها الآن. لا أظن، لم يقيض الله تعالى أحد يفهمها الآن. هي مصيبة، هي عدم مفهومة حقيقة. قد يقال انها غير مفهوم، افكار غريبه جدا.
For these next
عندنا الان انواع الضلالات كامله واضعاف.
We have all sorts of different types of misguidances occurring nowadays, and a lot of people they have this question, and some pose as an objection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like how could Allah create us and destine everything for us? How could he destine everything for us and then hold us accountable for that which he has destined for us?
هذا السؤال غبي. هذا السؤال غبي.
This is a foolish question, and there's so many questions and strange type of confusions that people bring about on themselves from their lack of understanding today, that I wish anybody could even comprehend and understand all these different strange things that people are saying. I don't think anybody comprehends all of those strange things that people are saying.
هذا السؤال ابتداء غبي. كيف تقول لماذا الله تعالى يسألنا؟ هي غباوة.
So somebody questioning Allah's action here, first of all, this question itself is foolishness.
هذا تحكم في رب العالمين. هذا تحكم.
This is, as if you're in charge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh, how dare Allah, astaghfirullah.
هذا تحكم في رب العالمين.
Decide to write everything for us.
أيكم يرضى يا مسلمون، لا أتكلم مع الكافرين، ولكن أرضى المسلمون. أيكم يمكن يقول أنا سأتحكم في رب العالمين؟
أولا
قبل أن نناقش المسألة.
Before we even talk
أولا
about the
قبل
matter.
أن نقول كلام العلماء. يعني تحكم في رب العالمين. من يقدر على أن يتحكم في رب العالمين؟
Before we talk about the matter, before we even see what the scholars have said about this question, who here thinks, and even the Muslims, from the Muslims, before even disbelievers, who thinks that they can take control of Allah or hold Allah accountable?
من يمكن يقف أمام رب العالمين يقول له لماذا تسألني؟
Who thinks that they can stand in front of Allah and say, "Oh Allah, why are you asking me for my deeds when you're the one who..."
وأنت قدرت. أيكم جاهز فليتحضر وبعد ذلك نناقش المسألة.
Whoever
أيكم جاهز يا مشاهد ويا حاضر.
whoever is ready to
أيكم
do that,
جاهز لهذا السؤال لرب العالمين سبحانه جل جلاله؟ فمرحبا ندخل معه دائرة النقاش.
whoever is ready to have this objection in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that thinks that they're in a position where they can argue this in front of Allah and say, oh Allah, why did you, and hold Allah accountable, astaghfirullah, then tell us, and we can discuss.
أنتم ما فيكم واحد إذا قال ترامب الآن مسألة وكتبها وقال سأعذب فلانا يمكن يقف أمامه ويقول لماذا تجعلني في السجن؟ ما يمكن الآن جميع المسلمين ولا أكثر من الخلق الآن. لو كتب الآن ترامب الليلة هذه اجعلوه في السجن الآن، السلطات اجعلوه، ما يمكن يقف أمامه أغلب الناس ويقول له لماذا جعلتني في السجن؟ أنا أتحداكم جميعا. لا بد له من أساليب، ويأتي بهناك وهناك ويتقلب على الجهات العشر ليست الست، ويأتي بأساليب كثيرة واعتذارات حتى يأتي المخاطبة مع ترامب. أولا قبل النقاش.
Who here has that power that if Trump was to say
كتب كتاب الليلة وقال اجعله في السجن.
That was to make an order
وما عنده أي ذنب، ما عنده أي ذنب.
To imprison somebody and that person didn't do any crime. That who of you would be able to actually go and face Trump and tell him, look, this is wrong, you cannot do this, and so on. No, you'd have to fill out this paper and do that and go through all of these loops and so
يحتاج
on.
أن يتقلب على الجهات العشر، هي كانت 6 وصارت 10.
You had to go through, forget about the 3 dimensions, up, down. You have to go over the 6 directions. Then the 3 dimensions, you have to go through the 4 dimensions. You have to go through, 10 directions in order to be able to even talk to Trump
بالعالم كله.
And you have to seek the help of, the whole world in order to
ومن كان ينفي الوسيلة سيكون الآن متوسلا، سيكون من أول المتوسلين. من كان ينفي الوسيلة فسيكون هو الآن الوسيلة بنفسه، فسيتوسل بالعالم كله.
So whosoever rejects tawassul, he will now be seeking tawassul from
سيكون هو الوسيلة، ما سيكون متوسل، سيكون هو الوسيلة بنفسه.
And not only will he be making tawassul, but he will just be himself the wasila to try to just to correct this issue.
فستأتي قواعد من الدين جس ما شاء الله. لكن اسمعوا، وأمرهم بطاعته لما قال المقادير كلها قدرها الله تعالى وخلاص انتهى الأمر، لكن بعد ذلك لا تزغ يا سامع، أمرهم بطاعته مع أنه قدر الأشياء، أمرهم بطاعته مباشرة. قال المؤلف رحمه الله وأمرهم بطاعته ونهاهم عن معصيته. قدر عليهم المعصية وقدر عليهم الطاعة وأمرهم بالطاعة ونهاهم عن معصيته.
So here he mentions nothing about them was hidden from him before he knew everything that they would do before he created them. Here he says he appointed destinies for those who he created. So keeping that in mind, when you read the next line, he ordered them to obey him and he forbade them to disobey him. Meaning Allah
وكل يجري بتقديره ومشيئته. كل من الطاعة والمعصية يجري بتقديره ومشيئته.
And all of that obedience or disobedience happens according to his decree and will. So this means that Allah has created the creation, He has appointed for them and decreed for them their obedience or disobedience, and He has then commanded them to be obedient and has forbade them from disobedience. But everything happens according to His decree and His will.
ومشيئته تنفذ، معناها خلاص تمشي على أي حال.
And His
حب
will is
الإنسان
accomplished.
وكره.
His will is accomplished, no matter if people like it or not.
لكن لا تعجلوا، سنتابع الأمر.
But don't worry, we're gonna explain further.
لا مشيئة للعباد إلا ما شاء.
The only will that people have is that which He wills for them.
إلا ما شاء لهم.
Is that will.
فما شاء كان وما لم يشاء لم يكن. هذا الحديث ما شاء الله كان وما لم يشاء لم يكن.
For what He wills for them occurs, and what He does not will does not occur. This is a hadith that what Allah has willed will occur, and that which He does not will not occur.
يهدي من يشاء ويعصم ويعافي فضلا. يهدي من يشاء ويعصم معناه يحفظه من الوقوع في أي معصية ويعافي فضلا.
He gives guidance to whomever He wills, meaning that He leads them to a path of obedience and staying away from sins, and protects them and keeps them safe from harm.
ويعافي فضلا ويضل من يشاء ويخذل ويبتلي عدلا.
So He gives guidance to whoever He wills and protects them and keeps them safe from harm out of His generosity. And He leads astray whoever He wills and abases them and afflicts them out of His justice.
شو اسمعوا، اعلموا ان اصعب مسألة في التوحيد كما يقول علماء التوحيد طريقة الكسب، هي إرادة الإنسان، هي يقال لها الكسب. هذه يقال لها في اصطلاح المتكلمين علماء السنة والجماعة يقال لها الكسب. هذه هي أصعب مسألة.
Know that the hardest matter in Tawheed is the matter of kasb, which is a person's earning, what a person earns for himself.
فنفي انتفاء الكسب عنا ونفي أن يكون لنا التأثير في أثر كفر لما فيه من تكذيب قول إلهنا كما جاءنا نصا صريحا به الذكر فمن ينفي الكسب كافر ومن يثبت المشيئة للإنسان الكامل كافر.
So understand what now we're talking about, the belief that a Muslim is required to believe within Islam. So if a person says that the good deeds that you earn and the bad deeds that you earn, your actions are not of your own earning, that you're not responsible for your own actions and you don't earn your own actions, that is disbelief. Because you will be held accountable for your actions and you are responsible for your actions. And whosoever says that a person is entirely in control of his will outside of the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this person is also a kafir.
لما فيه من تكذيب قول إلهنا كل جاء بها نص.
Because both of these types of disbelief basically are contradicting a verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said.
ماذا قال الله؟ وما تشاءون إلا أن يشاء الله. هو قال وما تشاءون، أثبت لنا مشيئة، قال وما تشاءون إلا أن يشاء الله.
So then he mentions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, and you do not will. The will that you have is not except through the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has affirmed that you do have will, but you have will because Allah has willed for you and your will is subject to the will of Allah.
اسمعوا، الإنسان اعلموا أن الجبرية عندهم مذهب خطير والقدرية عندهم مذهب خطير.
Know that the Jabariyya, they have a very dangerous and incorrect
وعندكم الآن من يعتقد اعتقادهم من المسلمين الآن.
And the Qadariyya also have an incorrect and false belief, and there are Muslims today.
عندكم الآن في أمريكا.
And you have in America today.
وفي غيرها.
And outside of America, people who have fallen into the same pitfalls as
من هو جبري أو قدري.
These were actual misguided sects in the past. And there's people today who are gaining their beliefs due to their ignorance.
وليسوا بقلة.
And they're not a small minority.
ليسوا بقلة. أنا جاءني الناس يسألوني عنها في وسط موريتانيا.
People have come and asked me about this in the middle of Mauritania.
الله سبحانه الجبرية يقولون الإنسان كريشة في مهب الريح ساقطة لا تستقر على حال من القلق. يقولون الإنسان مجبور كريشة أو كورقة في مهب الريح، في وسط الريح تقلبها الرياح.
The Jabariyya, they deny that a person has any type of will whatsoever and any responsibility. They say he's like a feather in the middle of like severe winds. That he's just wherever the wind blows him, that's where he'll go. He has no absolutely will whatsoever, and will not be responsible.
هذا غير صحيح. العقل واضح في أن هذا غير صحيح.
From your own intellect, it's understandable that this is not the case. You know that a person, is not like a paper or like or like a twig or something that the winds are just pushing about.
والقدرية يقولون أن الإنسان خلق أفعاله ومتحكم فيها كامل، يعني خلاص الأمر هو خلق أفعاله.
And the Qadariyya, they say that the human being is completely, that he has the ability and he creates his own actions. He's the one who's 100% in charge.
وهذا كفر.
And this is and denying.
هذا الاعتقاد كفر.
This is disbelief.
يلا الله تعالى يقول والله خلقكم وما تعملون.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that Allah has created you and that which you do.
لكن الكسب موجود. الكسب هو إرادة الإنسان ويقال له الكسب احتراما حتى لا يشترك الإنسان في اسم الإرادة. هذا تأدب معناه حتى لا يشترك الإنسان في اسم الإرادة المطلقة مع الله سبحانه وجل جلاله.
So then this word kasb is useful for understanding from an Arabic perspective, meaning earning. That a person is responsible for earning the good that he does, and he actually earns the evil that he does. This is other than the word of willing, that he willed his actions into existence and he did what he willed. This is out of our respect for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah is that owner of the will. But then our belief as Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah that a person does have kasb, that a person is actually earns the deeds that he does and is responsible for.
خلق الله تعالى الإنس والجن والملائكة بخلق يختلف عن غيرها.
That Allah subhanahu wa
هذا
ta'ala.
الخلق الابتدائي. الخلق الابتدائي من الله.
So the creation in the beginning is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who created the humankind and the jinn and so on.
معناها خلق الجن والإنس والملائكة مختلف هذه الأجناس الثلاثة عن غيرها من الكائنات من الجمادات والحيوانات.
That the angels and the human beings and the jinn, they were created in a different way, or they're a different category than the other creation of the animals and plants and solids.
الإنس والجن لهم عقول.
Humankind and jinn have
الجن
minds.
والإنس والملائكة لهم عقول.
And angels, they have minds.
ولهم نيات.
And they have intention and will, and they have no.
خلق هذه النية وهذه العقلية وهذه الهمم في هذه الأجناس الثلاثة.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this intellect and choice and
الهمة. الإرادة الهمة.
That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this intentionality and intellect and so on within these types of creatures.
فلذلك لما لسس هذه الأشياء الثلاثة فيهم الهمم والنيات العقليات خلقها فيهم ابتداء. هذا خلق من الله سبحانه. لما ركب فيهم هذه العقلية وهذه النيات خاطبهم بمقتضى ما ركب فيهم فميزهم عن غيرهم. هذا هو يقال له الكسب.
So essentially the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the nature of the human beings and the angels and the jinn with this intentionality.
تفهم بين القبيح والحسن.
And this discernment and intellect
تفرق بين الأمر والنهي.
That it can discern between obedience and disobedience, between evil and good and so on. Intellectually. This is a part of the nature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created in these three.
نعم.
And through this differentiated them from the other types of creatures.
فلذلك خاطبهم هذا الخطاب الأمر والنهي.
So therefore, according
أمرهم
to that,
بطاعته ونهاهم عن معصيته.
So according to the nature that He has created within them, this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses them with commandments and has
لما أودعه فيهم.
And with commandments and with orders of ordering them to do things and forbidding them from other things because of that which nature that which He has made within them.
لكن لم يترك لهم الحرية، لم يترك لهم كمال الإرادة.
But on the other hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't give them the
لم يجعل لهم كمال الإرادة والمشيئة.
He did not create for them the complete will that escapes from His will.
فلذلك ما تشاءون إلا أن يشاء الله. يوجد في الإنسان همة، لما نية عقلية، لما يسمع الأمر يتعظ من عادته يسمع يفهم ليس كبهيمة لا تفهمه إلا الطرد والزجر والربط فقط، هكذا شيء آخر.
So
جعل فيه نية وعقلية عندما تسمع الأمر تفهمه.
So He has made within these creatures intentionality and intellect, that once they hear a commandment and once they are warned of something or once they are motivated, they can be, positively and negatively motivated through commandments and warnings and so on, that they understand that type of motivation.
ولكن قد يمنعهم من ذلك. لكن قد يمنعهم من الهداية وقد يسلط عليهم الضلال بإشاعته، ولكن النية والعقلية مركبة حتى يتعلق بها الخطاب.
That yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could choose to guide a person or prevent that guidance from them and so on, but it's your intentionality and your intellect that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses when He is commanding you.
خلقه فيك حتى يخاطبك به.
Allah has created those things within you so that He may address you through those.
أقام عليك الحجة بما خلق فيك.
He has held as a proof upon you that which He has created within you.
لذلك لو كان الإنسان خلق مجنونا أو غير عاقل لا يتعلق به الخطاب.
So that's why a person, if they were born, insane, or they don't have intellect, then that person, the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala don't apply to that person.
لا يتعلق به الخطاب.
Then that person is not responsible. That person is not responsible because they do not have that discernment and intellect.
هل من سؤال عن هذا؟
Is this unclear? Is there any question about this?
طيب تفضل مرحبا.
If a person commits suicide and he has a mental health condition, if you trace suicide, for example, there's two types. I mean, if someone like got an F on an exam or lost their significant other and jumped off a bridge, is different. But if someone actually had a mental health condition and they ended up being off meds and on meds and just the whole cycle of the way the West kind of deals with psychiatric issues. So like I know in our understanding we don't usually do, I mean even if they're not Muslim or not, but in our understanding that a person who commits suicide is like destined to Jahannam. But at the same time, like if you look at like the flip side of like, the situation of being majnoon, the opposite weight is the depression, which is an imbalance of complete sorrow and sadness, but it's the opposite.
I'm sorry, because we have the live stream, so just so they can hear, the question can be as to the point as possible. Are you asking that if a person? Are you asking that if a person committed suicide due to depression, is that depression enough of an illness to discount them from the responsibility?
No, that's not what I'm asking.
What are you asking?
What I'm asking is depression.
إذا كان السؤال لا يناسب الناس خلينا نسأل.
Yeah, inshallah, we can discuss this matter later if you want to be very specific, inshallah. جزاكم الله خير.
نتكلم ترد عليها.
نعم.
أبو بكر سيجيبك.
I'll answer you, inshallah. Please don't forget, inshallah, I'll be in touch with you and we can discuss this issue.
هذا سأوكله عليك يجيبك.
Sheikh said I will appoint this guy myself to you to answer your question, inshallah.
مرحبا. Welcome.
Welcome.
جزاكم الله خير. في سؤال آخر؟ هذا سؤال.
السؤال هناك والسؤال هناك. تفضل.
هل الملائكة تدخل في الخطاب التكليفي؟
نعم كلفهم الله تعالى.
That the brother asked, are the angels also responsible for their actions? Sheikh says, yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has held them accountable.
يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون.
Allah says that they do not disobey Allah that which He commands them, and they do that which they are ordered.
Do they have a choice?
Huh?
They have a choice? The angels?
They have a choice جدا ولكن هم لا يعصون الله ما أعطاهم الله.
That the angels do have a choice, but their choice is always the right choice. لأنهم ما عندهم أي رغبة أو شهوة أو أي شيء إلا ويعلمون الله سبحانه وتعالى.
لا ما جعل الله فيهم شهوات.
نعم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't made any desires within them. There's no motivation for them to do, and they know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they deal with Allah, so there's no reason at all why they would disobey Allah.
لا إله إلا الله.
Not seeking.
لكن الأنبياء أفضل من الملائكة.
But the prophets are better than the angels.
والأولياء شيخ أفضل بعض الأولياء.
لا.
الأولياء ليس أفضل.
سنتكلم على هذا.
يعني المؤمن الصالح هو.
سنتكلم على هذا لا توكل. والأنبياء أفضل فالملائكة يتلون في فضل علوا أرائك هذا هو الصحيح. بعضهم فضل الصديقين على عوام الملائكة وبعض هذا في تفصيل.
الأولياء.
نعم.
Assalamu alaikum.
عليكم السلام.
If an individual's fate is predestined, whether he's going to go based, on his deeds and all this, is there a way for him to change and try to change his way so he can change his destiny, or is it written?
You're saying is there a hope for somebody who's astray? I mean, you don't know your destiny, right?
Yeah.
So, ما بال هل في أي أمل لواحد ضال إن كتب له الضلال يعني أن يتغير يعني هل
إذا كان في علم الله تعالى أن كتبه ضالا هذا قطعا في علم الله القديم.
ولكن في علم ذلك الشخص هو لا يعلم. نعم.
لا يكون.
فما على هذا الشخص أن يفعل؟ ما على
إذا كان في علمه.
نعم. الشخص الضال هو هل يعني ما عليه أن يفعل يعني؟
من هذا الشخص بنفسه الضال؟ عليه أن يفعل ما قال الله تعالى له من الأمر، لأن الله ركب فيه العقلية وأجب عليه يمتثل أمره.
So the brother asked, what about the person who is written for him?
مبشرين ومنذرين لئلا يكون للناس على الله حجة بعد الرسل.
That Allah, the brother asked that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has.
ركب فيه العقل والنيات هذا مع كفاية.
نعم.
الله أخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم لا تعلمون شيئا وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة لعلكم تشكرون.
That the brother asked that if a person has written for him that he's going to be misguided, could something happen that he becomes guided? I asked the brother, does this brother know what's written for him? Does this guy know what's written for him? Obviously, the guy does not. Sheikh said that, of course, if the person's written for him misguidance, then that person will end up, the choice that he will make is that he will choose misguidance. But from a person's perspective, he doesn't know what's written for him, guidance or misguidance. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala holds you accountable. Allah said Allah created you. Now you have the choice between guidance and misguidance. Can I say that, there's misguidance written for me, that's why I'm going to be misguided? No. You have, Allah says that Allah has created you, took you out of the wombs of your mothers and created for you, hearing and seeing and minds. That Allah has given you the tools to be able to discern and to be able to understand. So use those tools. Nobody knows goodness is written for me or bad. So do your effort and do everything in your capability to be guided. And inshallah, hopefully that's what Allah will have written for you.
Some people will, have the concept of justice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most just. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created, obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everything, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has willed for some to be in hellfire because of His justice, out of His justice. What does that mean, out of His justice?
ما معنى أن من عدل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن كتب لبعض الناس الشقاء؟
هذا عدل.
ما معنى ذلك؟
معنى أن الله تعالى يفعل ما يشاء، ما عليه آمر حتى يعدل، لأن الذي يعدل العدل الذي تراه عدلا هذا من عليه آمر، والله تعالى ليس عليه آمر حتى يعدل العدل الذي هو يريد. وبالنسبة للعدل في خلقه هذا خلقه يفعل فيه ما يشاء.
So then in terms of the issue that is not addressed within
بالنسبة من يعدل ومن يحكم عليه حاكم كالله تعالى والرسول يرسلهم ويقول افعلوا هذا وافعلوا هذا، هو اللي يجب عليه أن يعدل بالنسبة للأوامر مثلا، وبالنسبة لله تعالى ليس عليه آمر حتى يطبق على التطبيق الذي يمشي على هوى الناس.
So in regard to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's actions, you don't really see explanations that Allah explains Himself to the creation throughout the Quran. So one of those things is that why yes, we know that Allah has written for some people hellfire due to His justice, knowing that person, knowing everything about that person, every possibility of that person. Allah has written the outcome for that person to be in loss, to be in hellfire. You know, out of His justice, what does that mean? That justice is something that is, Allah has the ultimate justice. Allah will never do anything unjust. And Allah has the ultimate knowledge, and Allah made that decision. So now contradicting that decision is now a contradiction, contradicting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, questioning Allah. You don't have the knowledge to know exactly all the factors and how Allah made that decision and so on. And that justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such a justice, the unquestionable justice, that is a justice that is unlike even the justice of a human being. When a person is just, that's because generally there's somebody who's above you. And if there's nobody on earth who's above you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above you and will hold you accountable. So everybody's accountable to a system or some type of laws or some type of rules that are held over them, that they are held accountable. If the person isn't following that, then this person is doing unjust. So doing injustice. So that person has to be